then the Office of Elections wrote me a letter saying they were gonna remove me from the counting center for disrupting their operations. So, and all I asked for was the chain of custody, and where they were gonna reconcile the number of ballots that they received with the number of votes that they counted, and they absolutely freaked out.
But Ralph, the question I have, and as well as you guys may know, President Trump signed an executive order for the federal offices that were going to be held in 2026 to be held on paper ballots, in person, day thereof. I know that you're familiar with that. How is that going to work out with the state? And any thoughts? Not that you may know that, but any thoughts?
Well, I don't know. The Elections Commission is completely dysfunctional. So we're not able to like have a discussion about, hey, we don't have chain of custody documents. They shut me down, they mute my microphone, and in December, they had the police remove me from the meeting for asking to subpoena chain of custody documentation. So the commission is there, I call it the icing on the fake cake of our elections. The commission is there, but they don't want people, they want a rubber stamp from the commission.
Any
So
thoughts?
I don't know how this is gonna be addressed, to answer.
Okay, I was just if you have any thoughts. I hope everybody's aware of that executive order. So on the primary, when there's a primary of more than one person running for U.S. House or Congressional District 2, and if there's a senatorial race, which I think there will be, if there's any, on the primary, the first Saturday in August, are we gonna have 2 ballots? And we just don't know. And then you come down to the general election in November of 26.
So there's 2 things. Well, primary election was unconstitutional. The Constitution in the state of Hawaii says you shall not ask a party preference for somebody voting. And that was the first question on the primary ballot. So we tried to get that answered by the Deputy Attorney General representing the Elections Commission. And they stonewalled that, and they have not answered that question yet. I just recently did a UIPA, which is a Freedom of Information Act. I got the correspondence between the chair and the Office of Elections. And what it showed, they were having conversations, email conversations, the chair, the secretary of the Office of Elections, the chief elections officer, and the Deputy Attorney General representing the Elections Commission. And they were asking each other how to put complaints on the agenda, and they asked for advice from the Deputy Attorney General, and then they redacted his advice on the FOIA, and they claimed attorney-client privilege. Well, the Deputy Attorney General is representing the Elections Commission, and he's giving advice to the Office of Election on how to avoid scrutiny. And how does that work? So we sent back to them saying, who's claiming attorney-client privilege? Only the client can claim that privilege and not share their attorney's recommendation. But the Elections Commission didn't do that. And prior to that, the Deputy Attorney General told us as a commission that he would only answer questions from the commission when the commission voted on it. But then they have all the sidebar discussions going on. I requested for 6 months, 1 month each month, from March, February, January, December, October, and August. They've given me 3 months stuff, so there must be some stuff they don't want out on the other months, because it just doesn't take that long to go right down to the email list and send out your send files. So they are absolutely hiding things from the public, and they don't want this stuff getting out. Like, we don't keep chain of custody. Everybody thinks we do, and we don't. Yeah. And the last thing that they do is, in the audits, they use ballot images, so there is never a physical count of the pieces of paper to validate what they said. So there's nothing that's verifiable in their elections right now. Any other questions?
Where are the votes counted when they're submitted electronically?
They're counted at the counting center at Kaua'i Community College. So the way I explained that whole process, there's observers. So pretend this room is a computer, okay? I'm in the computer. The observers bring boxes of ballots to the door. I go to the door and I pull them in. Observers are outside. I get all the boxes of ballots in this room, and I shut the door. Out there, the windows are tinted, you can't see in. I stay in here overnight, and at the end of the day, the end of the night, I stick out a piece of paper and I say, here's the results. The observers were outside the whole time. Nobody can see what's going on in the computer. There's nothing verifiable
Is this similar
about
to
a computer counting the machine. It's like if we did a vote here and you all gave me your pieces of paper, I'm in the back, and I announced the winner of the vote, would you guys believe me? Well, half of you would, half of you wouldn't. And what would you want to do? You would want to see the paper, right? I want to verify your count. Well, we don't do that in our elections, and it's the craziest thing. When I figured that out, that's the craziest thing. The computer counts it. Nobody verifies it. There's observers there, but they don't know what the computer's saying.
It's very similar to the 2020 convention. Wayne County, Detroit, they covered up the windows. Atlanta, they covered up the windows. Because there's no transparency here at all.
Well, they covered it up probably because they were inserting ballots.
Yeah.
More ballots. So right now, the signature verification, there's no observers present. The Office of Elections, they just wrote a letter to the legislature saying that we're misconstruing laws that require observers in the county level. They're telling us that observers are not required at all at the county level. And nobody's there. Yeah, that whole process. And signature verification is rebuttable presumption, I think is the word, that they assume that the signature on an envelope is that of the voter. And unless it's blatantly different, they're gonna accept it. Any other questions? Yes.
It's a concern rather. I trust you to be a stand-up person that wouldn't be pushed to change your stance on election integrity and why you're being the warrior that you are, and the reason why you have the information that you have because you have a position to gather that information where you've had enough cachet to receive it. The rest of us don't have that. So thank you for being the person.
You all do. It's just a simple UIPA, but go ahead.
Right, well, there was a title to your name that gave you access.
No, I had to FOIA it all. I had to go through the UIPA, which is the way you do a Freedom of Information Act in Hawaii.
Right, with your recent findings.
Yes.
But I'm talking about like when we started this back probably 3 years ago, I don't know, 2.5. But my concern is that the current chair of the Elections Commission, in the way I viewed him when I watched the meetings when he was not the chair, he was battling the then chair, the former chair of the Elections Commission, somewhat in the same way that you are interacting and battling and trying to get things through. And I felt a lot of hope that we were building more Republicans in that commission. There was a lot more of you than there was then, even though there's not enough, is what you're saying, in order to make any essential changes. And there's something that happened, there's a change that occurred when this person that what seemed to be a warrior.
What is his name, Mike Curtis?
All right. And was elected into the chair position with the hope that there would be integrity, that we were in a meeting together where that was said, that the point is for everybody to feel comfortable and feel ensured in our process, in our election, that there is integrity in our elections. And it's not happening. The continued block of what you're trying to do in order to bring peace to our minds that the law is being followed and that things are as they ought to be, that you're being stonewalled in your efforts. And I just feel this switch in roles, and that's why I asked, like, when is that term up? Because it seems that if we have someone that we can trust in that helm, in that position, that there won't be a change from being elected to actually taking place. And I know I'm alluding to corruption and all of that stuff, but that is literally what we're facing here in this state when it comes to our elections. And is there any other way besides having that rubber stamp from the Elections Commission? Because it seems like that's how they're getting away with, and I know we have another commissioner present, and I apologize if there's any disrespect coming from me, but there is no way for us to feel secure in this being Pono, is what I'm trying to.
Okay, so what we discovered, to answer your question.
Excuse me, I wanna wrap this up at 7.
Okay, really quick then. There's avenues to the court. I'm doing a petition for declaratory judgment. Does this law need to be followed? That's basically what I'm asking the court. Anybody can do it. I'm just doing it per se. By myself, I don't have a lawyer. So there's avenues I can help people with that. But there's chain of custody, and I'm trying to think of we got another one that we're gonna ask here shortly, but you gotta start you can't sit on the sidelines and do this anymore. You gotta start going to the courts or doing something. But the Elections Commission is dysfunctional, and reach out to your representatives. Like Anita's been a champion of we're just trying to ask questions, and they're blocking us. So, from asking the questions. They had the police remove me for making a motion to subpoena chain of custody documentation. And they had the police remove me. They turned off the cameras, and they said, you gotta go. And so I went out. Yes, last one.
If you wanted to maybe make a sign saying, Mike Curtis, please do chain of custody, you could show up when he plays softball in Kaua'i every Tuesday night. And if we had
I like you more.
That's right.
he would get a
That's right.
Go, that's what you guys need to do. So, somebody else can't do it. I was shocked that nobody else knew any of this stuff on how it worked. And I quickly, just by asking questions and reading the laws, figured out that they're not following any of the laws that are out there.
He's playing softball on Tuesday nights in Kaua'i. If somebody wants to get together and do a sign, now this guy's a Rotarian. I'm a Rotarian. I'm assistant district governor for the island. I've got to work with this guy till June. And once June's done,
Does anybody wanna donate a case of toilet paper, maybe find out, I know where he lives.
New or used?
Is Ken still here?
Last one, you guys.
So the Elections Commission, can you give us a brief rundown on the structure, guiding, and who appoints or how you get voted in or out? Or
So the minority rep and the majority rep appoint commissioners and, and basically, so the House and the Senate, minority, majority appoint commissioners. And then the chair is voted in by 2/3 vote. It doesn't need to be a commissioner.
And there's statutory laws that guide the function of the state commission.
They are, but they don't follow the rules. They just ram it through. So there was a vote for the chief elections officer to be reappointed. It failed, and because it failed, they said he was reappointed. And so that was the kind of stuff. The Attorney General's office is in on it. We're on our 5th Deputy Attorney General, and between each meeting, the Deputy Attorney General will be disingenuous, lie to the commission, and they'll state the law, and they will misrepresent it to the commission, and then we'll get votes on it. So in the meantime, we take that, after the meetings, we take what they said, we take what the law is, and then I write into the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, and I said, they're the ones who govern the attorneys in the state. Attorney said this in the commission, here's what the law says, here's what they said. They're either lying to us or they're incompetent. Either way, they gotta go. So the first one's a slap on the wrist, the second one's serious for them. That's why we're getting so many deputy attorney generals in there. So but it takes a lot of time. Nobody else is doing this. You know, it's like, so anyway, we need support. Thanks.
Give Ralph a hand. I had here and talk to Ralph afterwards, but I want to at least adjourn the meeting. Before we do, yes.
I mean,
Go ahead.
was saying it is about that time to adjourn anyway. But a question that I have is that how do we move forward you're saying that, you know, what we've done on March 29th is totally legal, everything is done, you know, the right way. And yet the state chair said, no, it's not done the right way, and we voted our pension. And this is what she would like to ask you. So if we leave like this tonight, with a lot of questions of what happened March 29th, and they have disregarded, voted our convention, this place will be totally confused. We need the right step, we need to move forward. You know, it's so sad because Kaua'i Republican Party is so small, and yet we're fighting like this. This has been going on for years. And you wonder why we're not winning votes throughout the whole state. And I think something like this, it has to be stopped. So it's my question also for the people to how do we move forward, because there's an election coming up on, I believe, May 4th, that means soon, and plus the state convention coming up May 24 and 25. Now it's like this hanging in the air. Where do we go from here for Kauai, most especially? I believe that we can make a difference in the state convention. How do we tackle it the right way, knowing that everything is on the table, things have been done by the state chair, so maybe Julie can explain to us, and just tell us, what do we do from here?
I appreciate you addressing the chair.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason why I do that, because we'll not leave here very soon if we go off talking amongst each other. Our recourse is the state committee, April 30th.
Okay, state committee.
So we'll see what happens on April 30th. And
What is April 30th?
April 30th, I forget which day of the week it is, I believe it's a Saturday?
No,
Sunday?
it's a Wednesday.
Wednesday, well, whatever day of the week it is, April 30th is when the state committee is supposed to gather. And the state committee is the one who has charge over the Hawaii Republican Party, not the state chair,
Okay.
not the rules committee.
Right.
So, and this is supposed to be adjudicated during that meeting. Trust me, I will let you guys all know how this turns out. But, I'm not gonna do Zoom. No more than I'll do a mail-in vote. Does that sound about right, folks? How do you feel about mail-in? Megasso, how do you feel about mail-in votes?
I thought it should have been in person.
Thank you. So I guess you probably think the same thing about our
Did Trump
convention.
come up with something saying if federal funding is gonna be tied to elections, vote in person with paper ballot?
Yeah, I don't know the extremities of this. He has, basically I talked to somebody who's in the inner circle with Trump. And he may be attending our state convention, May 24th and 25th. But he's one that's been counseling President Trump to not wait till October. In May, there's supposed to be 2 executive orders coming down. There's another one, I believe, in June. Big Daddy's coming down in August, which is more than a year from the general election. So it's in the works, Dave. It's a good question, but it's in the works. I wish I could answer that, but I just don't.
I know that that's what he told California. And
Mike?
Yeah, real short. The biggest problem with Zoom is there is no secret balloting. Because you have to push either a red square or a red X or a green check. And that displays across the entire screen. Everybody
Well,
sees.
there is a way you can do it. It can be turned off. There is a way that they can do it, but who's the person that checks it? It's the coyote that's guarding the hen's house. And I don't trust camera, and I certainly don't trust Tammy Perkins. I don't trust Maui one bit.
So then still the question is that should we vote on May 4th? Yes or no?
I'm not.
I mean, the Kaua'i Republican.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I'm gonna leave it up to your conscience. If you voted for the Kamali'i rule to no longer have Zoom meetings, guide our election process, then by God, I think you should stick by it.
But again, that particular rule was only for young Kauai, and it was.
But that rule is statewide. We codified it in our own rules. 402 meetings for the state committee says that they can do Zoom, and you can understand why. Because you have membership in the state committee over how many islands?
4.
Yeah, 5 really. I mean, you could have potential. You could have Niihau. You could have Lanai, Molokai. So for people who are serving, I mean, my word, Linda Lingle, she was the county chair for Molokai in the beginning before she ran her electoral bid. So the problem that you have with Zoom is it's illegal. You just can't do it, but she refuses to see it this way. This is the way that Tamara has controlled our state chair when she was county chair. She controls everybody who's a delegate on Maui. If she doesn't like it, you don't get in. In fact, I had a conversation with the lady right now. She's begging to become a delegate. There's a vacancy. She's already reserved rooms at the Kaua'i Hilton, but they just won't acknowledge her. Because if they don't like you, you don't get in. That's the problem that you have with Zoom. I guess so.
What do you do with this pandemic?
Well, I'll do what I did the first time. I'm not wearing a mask. And
About Zoom calls.
I'm sorry?
Everybody did Zoom calls during the pandemic. How do you get around that?
No, we didn't. You're saying everyone. The Kaua'i County didn't. You weren't with us then. But how many attended the 2021 county convention? Come on, I know some of you guys did. Laverne, raise your hand. You attended. David, you attended. It was held at the church, the Union
That's
Church.
right, that's right.
Yeah.
I slept since then, sorry.
I was under a lot of pressure, and Shiloh can tell you this. People said, Steve, no, we need to just do it by Zoom. I says, hell no. And we didn't. So I remember how you pontificated at the county chair about what we should do, and nobody else does it possibly. Well, you're looking at one guy who did. I'm the only county that did that, I guess so. The only one. I'm damn proud.
There's a pandemic going on now.
No, there's no pandemic going on. Yeah. But I understand the question better now.
Yeah, right.
Nobody did it. You're looking at a man who did it. And you know how many people we had? We had 135 people there at Union Church. You should have been there. I wish you would have been. If I would have known that you're interested in the Republican Party, I would have invited you. I'm looking. When I find people, when I go to Costco wearing my Trump hat, I'm on a holy hunt looking for people who say, I like your hat. And then what I do, Tina will tell you this, I pull out my phone. May I have your contact information? Because I'm on a holy hunt for Republicans. Or at least those who identify with Trump. Okay, so folks, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Okay, that's all. We don't need a second. I want to thank each of you in attending. We're going to be having another meeting on or about May 22nd. The convention will be May 24th. We need delegates, folks. Kauai can field 66 delegates to the convention. And I want to make sure we get them all there. Thank you.